And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I am Michael Delan, and today I am talking with Frank Rekas. And well, Frank, first of all, thank you for spending some time with me today.
Well, thanks for having me, Michael. Looking forward to this and should be a lot of fun.
It is going to be a great conversation. So, Frank is he and I met on LinkedIn because he's in a mastermind with a friend of mine, Charlie Mann, and we all kind of run in the same circles. It seems like, and so I reached out to him and had a conversation. And when I went to his LinkedIn profile, I saw this title, and I love this. He's the attorney's financial advisor. And in marketing, I love that specificity of saying, this is who I am for. Now, you can help all kinds of people in what you do, but you have really niched down to the attorney's financial advisor, and you help them balance this the teeter-totter, as I say, between wealth and risk. And I want to dive into that a little bit, but as we
Okay.
get to that conversation, Frank, tell me, how in the world did you get doing what you're doing today?
So, born and raised in Chicago, and my first career, so to speak, was in retail. I actually worked and managed an Ace Hardware store for about 16 years, all the
Okay.
way from stock boy all the way up to manager, and finally just had enough. And I came home from work one day and got a letter from an insurance company about an opening, and I
Mhm.
actually put it in the trash. My wife found it, read it, and said, I think you should at least go on the interview. So that was in 1991, and here I am almost 34 years later in July. Um, that's what I've been doing, and it's been
Wow.
great. It's been fantastic.
Who would have thought, right, that it would last that long?
Absolutely.
And if you're like me, you're a wise man, and when your wife tells you to do something like that, you go, "Yes, dear," and you do it. So what a deal!
Yeah, yeah. It has worked out very nicely. I mean, I
Awesome.
probably should have quit 3 or 4 times in the beginning, but I think that's everybody.
That's great. Before we dive in, it's funny because you said the Ace Hardware, and what came to my mind, going back to marketing, right, was I think it was John Madden. When I was growing
Yes,
up, I was watching TV. Ace is the place with a helpful hardware man,
that's
and
it.
that positioning that Ace Hardware had back then was so good, and it's just a great marketing lesson of consistency over time and the use of great marketing. So anyway,
Yep,
we're not here to
it
talk about
was.
that. We
No.
we are here to talk about how attorneys need to really look at building wealth and balancing risk and wealth and all of that. Talk a little bit about just, I guess, the internal mental struggles that attorneys have, and this applies to everybody, any business owner, really, around wealth building. What are some of the challenges they're facing really inside their head?
I think the first one is really time, not having the time to allocate to sitting down and talking with someone that does what I do.
Mhm.
They're busy running their practice. They're busy with trying their cases. They're busy doing the research on their cases. And then they have families to tend to in many
Yeah.
cases. So time, I think, is the biggest thing that they have difficulty adjusting to. So what a lot of ends up happening is they just do things sporadically, kind of like shopping at the store and you see something you like. Okay, I'll get that. Now, that's not everybody, but a lot of the people that I run into, hey, I have all of these different things. There's really no coordination. Can you help me with that? And
Yeah.
that's mostly how a lot of the conversations actually begin.
Yeah, that's really good, because time is one of our greatest enemies, really, because we just have a limited number. We can't replenish it. So as you begin these conversations with somebody, an attorney, and they're growing their practice, they're busy and things, but what should they be thinking about? Because you've got this balancing act here. I love of managing risk and wealth. Talk about that balancing act there, and how do you help guide people down that pathway?
So there's a lot of advisors who call themselves comprehensive advisors, right? But when you look at managing someone's portfolio, or when you look at managing someone's risk, is that advisor really doing both things, right? You
Mm.
could be a financial advisor and advising someone on their investments, but you're not talking to them about risk. You could call yourself a financial advisor, talk to them about risk, but not do anything about their investments. So We come from the standpoint where we are comprehensive, for lack of a better word. And when we do put together, planning, and we do talk about planning, we look at both sides of that equation. And I'm going to quote a famous investment guru who some people may know, but most people probably don't, Nick Murray, who says that if your financial plan isn't built on a rock solid foundation of insurance, life insurance, disability, and long-term care insurance products, it's basically built on sand. And I think there's a lot of truth to that.
There really is. I will echo that and affirm that, because we have to manage that risk side, because you could have the greatest law firm in the world, but if it's dependent on you and you get hit by a truck, or, I mean, taken out is one thing. Most of them probably have life insurance. They probably don't have enough, but they probably have some. But what's worse, I think, is a stroke or some kind of debilitating illness that's going to take me out. And what's going to happen to my family? Have I planned properly for that? And anyway, that is an element of risk that I think, and I'm glad you mentioned that, and we might want to go deeper, because I think so many times when we talk about risk, people are thinking, oh, stock market risk, or I'm going to lose money risk. Well, yeah, but we don't manage that. This is a much deeper conversation, right?
Oh, it's like a post I put on LinkedIn yesterday where I said, what if the heart attack comes up short?
Yes.
I don't want to be morbid on this. We were going to have fun, but
no, we're going to have fun.
Yeah. What if it doesn't kill you?
That's
but
right.
What if it also prevents you from going back to work? Absolutely. Now, what are you going to do? So my question for someone is always, if that should happen, what's your plan? That's what are we going to do?
Yeah. And boy, you're hitting the hot button here, brother. So I think men especially need to really think about these things, because a lot of us have wives who aren't working full time, or they're at home, staying at home with kids, raising kids, whatever. And if we get taken out, all the burden goes to them, not only to be by our bedside, but to provide and to care and all of that. Have you done the due diligence to provide for that? Because that is part of your wealth creation strategy, right? And think about college for kids and grandkids, and all of that plays into it. One of the areas I think you deal with is helping attorneys build wealth by looking at the tax situation and helping them save taxes. So unpack that, because I think that's another area that people we just pay my taxes, whatever. Well, maybe you don't have to pay so much. Talk about that.
Well, nobody should ever pay taxes more than they're supposed to. Amen. No one should voluntarily pay more, right? So we try to look at minimizing it from the current situation that they're in, but also project in the future. So we can look at different ways to build your portfolio where currently we can save you money on taxes on various programs and strategies that we use, but then we can also create what we'll call tax-free cash flow at retirement by also using some other strategies and programs that we use. So we're trying to have some sort of balance, because most, I'll say, CPAs or accountants, not all, but many, only look at right now. Right. There aren't a lot of them that are future looking. They're just trying to, tell you what you owe. This is what you got to pay. And, if you do A or B, maybe we can save you a little bit of money, but they're not really doing too much forward thinking. So it's, and you're just taking their advice to do that. And that's where the time comes in for an attorney who doesn't spend the time to look at what else can I be doing? What else should I be doing? Who else should I be talking to? Yeah.
And it's so important, because it's, when we think about wealth, and I think so many times people hear that, right? And they go into I'm going to build a 7-figure business in 3 months, or I'm going to become a multi-billionaire. And it's like, well, okay, go do that. I think most of us need to think about wealth over a 30, 40, 50 year period of time. What does that look like? And how can we pass generational wealth onto, to the next generation without dumping millions of dollars on them and cratering their life? It's all, it comes back to time, really. But it's not just time. It's time, but it's having somebody like Frank who's been around for a couple of years and has the wisdom and the questions that need to be asked, so that I, in my time, can be thinking diligently about, what am I missing? What do I really want for my kids and grandkids? All of that. Because I think a lot of people are like me and probably like you is, I mean, I'm not looking to retire and go sit on the beach all day, every day. I
No.
want to be active doing something. How does that play into my mindset as it comes around wealth building long term? Do you help people with things like that?
Retirement used to mean different things, right? Back,
Mhm.
I don't know, a decade or so ago, you were going to retire at 65, maybe at 67, and you're done. You're finished. Well, now retirement doesn't necessarily mean that. Maybe you're going to cut back. If you own a law practice, maybe you're going to sell it. But maybe you're going to stay on and you're going to help with the transition. You're going to consult. You're going to take cases on a case by case basis. I mean, I know one particular attorney who claimed to be retiring. They're not retiring. They're
Yeah.
taking cases as is. Why? They enjoy what they're doing. So it means different things to different people. And the big question that we get, and what this is whether you're an attorney or you're in another profession, is, am I going to be okay? Am I going to have enough to live the lifestyle that I want? And my motto or my phrase that we have is, living your life with abundance and with dignity. And those are the two things that I think we really need to take a look at for the long term so that you can live that way.
Yeah, that's really good. Abundance and dignity. And it's fascinating because when I think about retirement, I'm probably 10, 15 years away from that day just to even start really thinking about moving away. But I don't know that my retirement life years are going to be much different than my life today. And I've kind of set it up that way. I might travel a little bit more, but for me, I mean, everything surrounds my family, my church family, and
Mhm.
where I live. And yeah, I might want to go to Europe or something or Hawaii, but that's a week, no big deal, right? So
Right.
it's thinking about that and then saying, okay, well, if that's the plan, if that's where, how am I going to make sure I get there? And that's where you come in, really, of helping somebody start visualizing this and going, okay, so so you're talking more than just investing in stocks and Bitcoin and whatever the next thing is, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's everything all put together. And let's be realistic. It's not just your personal financial planning. If you're a law firm owner, it's also your business planning, your cash flow, how much is coming in, how much is going out, what are you spending on, what shiny object are we looking to buy this month? And I don't want people to think of budgeting as handcuffs because that's not really what we try to do. Just try to make you aware of what it is that you're spending, how you're spending it, and is it the right thing to spend it on?
Right. No, and that's so good. I've always looked, so my wife's a great budgeter. She's my bookkeeper for my business, but she's been my bookkeeper for life for 34 years. Is I used to think of budgeting as handcuffs, right? And she
Right.
finally got me to understand, no, budgeting is like the guardrails on the bridge. And
Exactly.
within the guardrails, I'm pretty much free to do whatever I want with the allowance that she gives me every month. And it's really freeing to go and say, okay, we're doing well. Oh, a little out of category there. Let's pull this back. And then say, okay, well, yeah, we just moved. You haven't moved for a while, Frankie. It's expensive. And there are
Oh,
a
I'm
lot of
sure.
stuff. And you have to go, so right now we're in a new house buying all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, well, honey, as long as we have the money for it, yes, we can buy that, right?
Yeah.
But that's because we function on a budget. And
Right.
it's really good in business and in personal. And it's amazing when you do it right, how much cash can be generated in a business that can flow into your personal to go into other places and to give. And um, there are so many fun intricacies and fun ways of creating a future financially that you need somebody like Frank to just talk with. How
Mhm.
how do you work with somebody when they're sitting out there going, dude, I need somebody, and they reach out? What's kind of the first few steps look like?
Well, we have what we call our initial discovery meeting, just like an attorney would have a discovery meeting. Where are you? Where are you looking to go? Have you worked with an advisor before? What did you like? What didn't you like? What would you improve on? What are you looking to get from an advisor? And why are we, most importantly, why are we here today? What made you get together with me today? Whether I reached out to you or you reached out to me. it's not me sitting here throwing statistics at you, showing you a shiny brochure, showing you my joke is the Plotnik 3000 that Michael, you got to buy one because everybody's got one. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with your situation and what do you want out of it. And then a lot of times it's organizing people. It's getting them organized. Is everything that they have, is it coordinated? Does it work well together? Should it be updated? Should it be changed? Are you in good shape? If you're in good shape, I'm the first to tell you, Michael, you're all set. I wouldn't worry about anything. It doesn't happen very often, right? And in many cases, there's something missing. It varies from person to person. So by asking some good questions, getting to the heart of the matter, getting some emotional involvement, we can find out how it is that we can work best together. But organizing is really probably the first step. And it's not really a big deal. It may sound like a big deal because I need all these different documents and you have to send me all of these statements and all that. But then the work is on me. It's on me, my business partner. We're doing the work there. So after you send us everything, then we get to work and then we come back and then we start working on exactly what it is that you want to achieve. It's not what we want to achieve. This is your plan. We're just the guide. You're the hero. We're just guiding you.
Yeah, I think that's so good because, and I think honestly, that's what stops people from taking that step is the fear of organizing. Oh, I got to go do it. Okay, you're gonna have to do it sometime. Might as well do it now. It's also what stops people from creating, wills and living trusts and all those documents that when the heart attack happens, have you taken care of everything for your spouse, your family, and all that? Well, I've always thought about it. Well, that doesn't do any good. So all of that in my mind is wealth building. It's not just financial, it's thinking through these things. And Frank's been around long enough that if he doesn't create those documents, he has people that he can refer you to that creates them that he trusts, because it is about saving time, but it's about protecting your family. It's about creating wealth for your family by managing the risk that's involved. And a lot of times that risk is, are you protected properly? That's a great first starting point. I love, Frank, that you started there, because most financial advisors never talk about that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's unfortunate, but I also like the point, Michael, that you brought up about doing your documents and having everything in order so that when the time comes, people know where to go. They know who gets what, because I've been there personally, and I've seen the stress and mental drain that it can cause on you if things aren't in order. And you don't want to go through that. So we collaborate with other professionals for that. I'm not going to be the one that's creating those documents, but I'm going to be the one that's going to nudge you and push you and, hey, you have to get that done. But we'll connect you to the right people to make sure that that does happen.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, Frank, I mean, you and I could talk for hours on this. I mean, you've already hit a number of my hot buttons and we could dive in, because I'm just really passionate about sharing with people, experts like you, who can help them take that next step, who can say, yeah, I know it's something I need to do. I just don't know where to go or how or who. And I would say your first who is probably Frank. Just reach out, have a call with him, have a conversation. And you can tell from this conversation, he's really high pressure, straight up sales, right? Yeah, right. He's going to
Hardly.
Yeah, he's just going to talk with you. And I think that's what we all are looking for. They're just hard to find. So how does somebody find you if they're interested?
Easiest place really is LinkedIn. I'm on there every day. If you look at my profile, I have all my contact information there, website, phone number, email address. I'm very easy to reach out to. I would be happy to have a conversation with anybody. Just look up Frank Rekas on LinkedIn and I'm there. Would be happy to have a call. There's a calendar link where you can schedule time to meet with me, and would be happy to talk, phone, virtual. And if you're local, let's get together. Or if I'm ever going to be local to you, we can get together that way too. I mean, I love bringing things like this to real life and in person.
Absolutely. There's nothing like, as we used to say, pressing the flesh, right?
That's right.
There is nothing like that. So, Frank, thank you. I'm going to have the LinkedIn, your link in the show notes. So if you're listening to this and you're driving or doing whatever, go to the show notes and find out how to connect with Frank on LinkedIn and just have a conversation. And I'm sure he's going to add lots of value to you in your planning and your thinking process. And who knows, he may just help you really build some wealth in your life for your family and for future generations. So Frank, thank you for who you are, for what you do, and for being my guest today on Experts Speak.
Well, thanks for having me, Michael. It was a real pleasure, and I hope you have a great rest of the day, and everybody listening, same to you.